feel like their tournament's completely done and they're going to have to wait another 4 years. But interestingly, what they also said is that if you're sacking 2 head coaches within 6 months, it's clearly a federation issue and it's a deeper lying problem. And one thing that I think Lamouchi tried to do, but maybe tried to do it too quickly, is bring in a lot of youth to Tunisia's squad. So he gave debuts to Khalil Ayari, this 21-year-old who spent the last year on loan in PSG's academy, 18-year-old Vancouver Whitecaps forward Rayan Alumi. So there's a real pivot for him to targeting younger players to try and refresh the squad.
Get out of the everyday. Get into teaching.
But giving all these players an opportunity at a World Cup is a big ask. And I think it did completely backfire and they were outclassed by Sweden. I think you're seeing a Yari whose dad is Tunisian scoring twice for Sweden, not celebrating the first goal, celebrating the second goal, probably added a little sting to it. But what a remarkable story. To decide to get rid of him after one game of the competition is unheard of.
Yeah, and it is really unusual in terms of a World Cup. Only 3 managers had ever been sacked during a World Cup before, and weirdly, they all happened within the space of a few days at France '98, and there was a Tunisian manager thrown in there as well, just for old time's sake. South Korea and Saudi Arabia also sacked their managers, but at least they did it after 2 games.
We should also point out that Lamouchi's been replaced by Hervé Renard, who has managed so many different countries over the years. I think he had a spell in charge of the France women's team, but he's probably best known for winning AFCON with Zambia. I think he had a spell in charge of Ivory Coast, Saudi Arabia. At the last World Cup when he famously told the players to eat the grass. And I'll give you a random sort of niche fact because they're sort of linked. But when Ivory Coast sat their manager at AFCON 2023, they wanted to appoint Hervé Renard, but couldn't get the deal done. So they gave it to Amos Faye. So history has sort of weirdly repeated itself where a manager's been sacked mid-tournament and Hervé Renard has been the one to step into the vacancy.
Let's turn our attention now to England. They kick off their tournament against Croatia on Wednesday evening, and joining us now to discuss how their preparations are going is our England correspondent Jack Pitt-Brooke, stationed at their training base in Kansas City. There has been plenty going on, hasn't there?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I've been in Kansas City for a few days now. I've never been here before. It's a lovely place. The people have been great. It's a bit weird for England because they're in Group L, so they're one of the last teams to start. So it's been a really long lead in to that. The big story really, I think, has been the theft of the kit, which I think has now been resolved. And away from the pit, away from football matters, there was a tornado passing through or close to Kansas City the other day, which meant that everybody in the city got warnings on their phone to hide indoors. So the England team had to stay inside their hotel, and I sheltered in the basement of my Airbnb hosts.
Oh, very good. Safety first. I like it. This is interesting, Jack. I wanted to talk to you about the Jordan Henderson situation, and you've been writing about him and his importance to the squad. Obviously, there was a lot of talk about the dressing room dynamics under Thomas Tuchel. Just how much of a big role has he played for the group, do you think?
Yeah, Jordan Henderson is a really, really integral part of the England squad. Gareth Southgate obviously left him out for Euro 2024, which I think was a big mistake. It was a mistake that Thomas Tuchel remedied almost as soon as he took over. He is the glue in the dressing room. He is probably the most natural leader in the squad, maybe even more so than the captain, Harry Kane. Speak to any England player, they'll tell you how important Henderson is. Henderson actually gave a press conference at the England Media Centre on Sunday evening here in Kansas City, and he's such a good talker and was able to explain his role in the squad. And I think that even if we don't see a huge amount of him on the pitch, he is so important to everything England doing behind the scenes.
Jack, I just wanted to get the guys' thoughts in the studio on this. I mean, Jay, let's come to you first. Is this a wasted spot or is it wise management to have an old head in there?
Well, me and Mark were having this discussion before we started recording, and I guess the dilemma that Tuchel's presented with is let's say Henderson's a fourth choice central midfielder, right? And the alternatives were Morgan Gibbs-White or Adam Wharton. If none of them are going to play that much. What's more valuable? Bringing Wharton and Gibbs-White as a possible option, or the intangibles that Henderson does, which we will never see, but we're made aware of through interviews with the players, etc. And I do think that sometimes having a leader of Henderson's caliber is really crucial for maintaining standards, keeping people positive, focused. I know that the video's sort of gone viral of Jude Bellingham and Morgan Rogers talking about, if you asked anybody in the squad who they'd want to be here, Henderson would be in everyone's top 5 because he's funny. And I think that's also a crucial element of it. These players, if they reach the final, will be away from home for 6-7 weeks. There'll be lots of travel. If Henderson is not just an older figure they can look up to for leadership, but can give you a little bit of comic relief, then that's important when you're sort of on top of each other day in, day out. And it can get very intense and it can get very stressful. To have someone there who can put his arm around your shoulder and crack a couple of jokes or two which lighten the mood, I think is very important. But there's no statistic that measures like comic relief or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? So it's hard for us from the outside looking in to see how valuable he is, but it sounds like stuff he does on a day-to-day basis, which is probably really simple, has a massive impact.
I'm tempted to just make you argue against having Jordan Henderson in the squad, but I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, I can try, even if it's not quite what I believe. I should preface this by saying I'm worrying that I'm very Tuchel-pilled. I'm like looking at the squad and have zero issue with any of the players, and then I always feel that like that's often the case during a tournament, and then when you look back like several years later and you look at the squad, you're like, well, why was he there? And it doesn't quite make sense anymore. But it's almost it just captures a moment in time. And I think, look, if I was going to make the argument against having Henderson there, it would be, and I agree with a lot of what you say, Jay. If I was going to make the argument against, I would say you sometimes need to get over the edge a change in the last 20 minutes of the game, in extra time. And if it was Adam Wharton on there with his ability to break lines with his passing, Jordan Henderson's passing is one of his greatest attributes, I've always thought. But if you have a player like that, can they make the difference? And that is what a lot of people will feel. And you can see it now, England going out in the quarterfinals disappointingly, and people saying, well, why wasn't this guy there? Why wasn't Wharton there? Why didn't we have somebody who could change things from the bench? It's the clearest argument against Henderson's selection, I think. But I was on this podcast last week arguing for it, so I can't really argue against it now. And I do think that, you know, you speak to people within the game. I remember being behind closed doors COVID games where you could hear Jordan Henderson constantly on the pitch, just barking orders, rallying teammates on. You need figures like that, and especially need that, I think, if you're going through a moment of transition, which England are at the minute. This is their first major tournament under a new manager after almost a decade, a really successful decade, we should say. You want continuity. You want some of that within figures who are in the squad, who know the place, who are like any successful club side would have. You'd have players who know how it works. You'd have veterans in the squad. It's normal. It's usual. You don't just pick the 26 most informed players and call that a squad. And I think that's why Jordan Henderson's there. It's probably partly why John Stones has such a prominent role as well. And I think it only makes sense to have that kind of continuity.
Fast, flexible, reliable. Same-day delivery with City Sprint. With deliveries on the road within 60 minutes from booking, our local service centres are close by to help. Same-day delivery when it matters.
Oh, this is a good one. This is a great Father's Day gift. Usually I just steal my wife's expensive skincare products, but now I have my own. This isn't my first rodeo. This is how much I like to use. Basically what I'm doing is ironing out my face. Upward motions only. And then I like to use my gouchard. Yeah. Almost like a comb. I remember combs.
Well, Jack Critch just mentioned there about John Stones. He's only started 5 games for Manchester City last season, but sounds as if he's favourite to start in the game. So what does that mean for Mark Gay and Ezri Konsa then?
Well, look, the thing you've got to realise here is that Thomas Tuchel absolutely adores John Stones. He loves Stones, and he has always given Stones every possible chance to prove his fitness. If he thinks that Stones is fit enough to get through the 90 minutes against Croatia, Stones will play. It's as simple as that. I guess the interesting question is whether it's Gahey or Konsa alongside Stones, should Stones play. And while I think going into the tournament, lots of the expectation was would be that it would be Stones and Gahey. It increasingly sounds, and look, nothing's certain yet, nothing's been confirmed. It sounds like it might be Konsa over Gahey alongside Stones, which would be interesting. Maybe that's to do with a bit more physicality, a bit more aggression from Konsa, but I think that is the interesting selection question at this point.
And Jack, in terms of a few other selection dilemmas, let me just throw a couple at you. Bellingham against Rodgers, who wins?
I think it's got to be Bellingham, and I think it's going to be Bellingham. Look, Rodgers is a great player. He's had a good season with Villa. Has actually played really, really well for Thomas Tuchel. You know, some of the best performances under Tuchel have been with Rodgers as the number 10. But I just think Bellingham is just special. He's got that X factor, and I think that he has done well enough in the friendlies that it's going to be Bellingham against Croatia.
And on the left wing, Gordon or Rashford?
So I'm a big Rashford guy. I would go for Rashford in that role. I think Rashford's top level is better than Gordon's personally. But Gordon was really good in the friendlies in Florida beforehand. So there's kind of a suggestion that maybe that's going to edge Gordon just ahead of Rashford. So I'm not quite sure on that one.
And Jack, it wouldn't be an England tournament if we weren't getting obsessed about the referee and fearing that he's going to have some sort of agenda. Well, there is a potential issue there with Thomas Tuchel and the referee for the Croatia game, Clement Turpin. He has history with Tuchel going back to the Bayern Munich days back in 2023. He sent off Tuchel in a tie against Manchester City, and he was pretty damning in his criticism. He called him grade E. He said he'd give him 1 out of 10. He was absolutely terrible. It's unbelievable at this level. Yeah, it was quite stinging criticism. There is a chance, I suppose, that this sort of criticism could be playing on Turpin's mind, isn't there?
Well, Henderson was asked about this in his press conference on Sunday evening, and he gave a very diplomatic answer, basically saying that we can't control the referees, and you just got to have every faith that the referees that are made at a World Cup will be really good. So I think on that basis, I think you have to hope that Turpin would not be too offended by what Tuchel said. I think referees, if they are elite referees, they should really have pretty thick skins. They should be able to take quite a lot of stick from managers and players and everyone else over the years. So I'd like to think that Turpin will not be particularly vexed by those comments.
Fingers crossed. Hey, Jack, thank you very much indeed. Just a quick word from you guys in the studio. Obviously, we'll see France play against Senegal later on. England will then play on Wednesday. That'll be the big boys that we've seen. Obviously, it didn't go to plan for Spain. Our simulator model has England with an 11% chance of winning the World Cup. They've gone very, very close in the last 2 tournaments. How excited, how expectant are you both?
How excited? Reasonably.
Okay, cool.
Can you be reasonably excited? Feels like a yes or no, either or.
Okay, how expectant are you then?
Not very expectant. I think the key difference compared to, as I mentioned before,
a little bit of red covering on the sleeves are from right to left, and I certainly think as Alexander Schlager gets his first touch in blue, the Austrian goalkeeper away to our left-hand side this evening, it is a game where we might be focusing on the goalkeepers. Neither particularly have a good reputation.
No, they don't. I think both are prone to errors. They can both produce fantastic, unbelievable saves, but yeah, I think we've seen that both of them have made vital errors, really. And I think you look at Schlager for Austria, plays the way that Ralf Rangnick wants him to play, good with his feet, likes to build from the back, but yeah, at times we have seen the odd mistake.
So there's a throw in here to Austria, near side the right. Philipp Lienhardt, the Freiburg man, is going to launch it into the penalty area. Away to our right-hand side, Kalajdzic at 6'7", certainly tries to get in front of the goalkeeper, make himself a nuisance, but it's well punched away. And on the counter-attack, across come Jordan over the halfway line. Musa Altamari's got a lot of work to do, gets himself to the near side corner of the penalty area, holds it up well, clips it in left-footed. Wasn't the most convincing header away. Ball runs to the right-hand side, and it is a shot low into the side netting from Asan, the captain of Jordan. As the flag gone up on the far side, there was all sorts of questionable defending. Marcel Sabitzer wasn't convincing with his header. but it is the first meaningful shot and a Jordan one, 0-0.
Yeah, it's really positive, isn't it, for Jordan? We wondered what they would be like. Would they sit back? I think we've known from previous games that they're not a team to do that. I think the managers come in and give them that belief to go and have a go at teams. And it's like Altamari's playing more centrally. He picks the ball up and just drives at that Austria back line. And then when it falls to the captain Hassan on that right-hand side, he's just looking to hit it back across the goal, but just hits the side netting. But certainly positive, and they'll take confidence from that break.
Bright start from the Jordanian team, who qualified in convincing fashion, really, in the Asian Football Confederation group stages. The third round of group stages for them to get through. 2023 Asian Cup finalists as well. And they're off again here. Hassan is chasing the ball down. Schlager comes out of his penalty area on the left-hand side and first time fires it up over the halfway line. Little drop of the shoulder from Sabitzer. Controlled down now on the floor by Schlager, and Austria themselves try and form an attack, although Marcel Sabitzer not the most convincing with his touch there out on the far side touchline. Ball played to the edge of the centre circle for Seiwald, and Alaba gets forward on the far side, squares himself up against Fakori, can't get the cross in, headed away rather comfortably by Ali Olwan. Ball will come back at Jordan here. Sabitzer with that mini ponytail tied back, the brown hair. Austria building again on the right-hand side with Al Arab putting some of the pressure on. Here's Alaba, key man of the Austrian side, although injuries have plagued his last couple of years. He's only started 9 La Liga games in the last 2 seasons. Altamari controls the ball down on his chest, plays it towards the far side, now turns towards the halfway line, but is quickly closed down. A little bit scrappy this game, neither side looking convincing after a couple of touches. Sliding challenge comes in, Austria have recovered the ball.
It's quite open though, isn't it? It's quite end-to-end, you know. 1 minute Jordan's attacking down that sort of left-hand side, and then straight away Austria's breaking. But yeah, a little bit scrappy. They're still both feeling their way into the game, but certainly a pace to it, an intensity to it.
And again, Jordan, who are going to use that pace to get down the left-hand side with Olwan. Was he pulled over there, clawed on his shoulder? Referee, who is from Mauritius today, Dehan Bader, elects not to give anything, and Austria go again from the back.
Yeah, really positive though from Jordan when they do attack. You can see the attacking players looking to face forward at every opportunity and have a go at that Austrian back line. Looks quite a high back line, high defensive back line from Austria, so they're certainly looking to exploit that space in behind.
Austria just past the centre circle with Schlager out towards Stefan Posch, the Mainz defender. Jordan have recovered the ball just on the edge of their own defensive third on this near side. They're left in the opening 45 minutes, of which we have played 5. Austria 0, Jordan 0. Revoking memories of 2002, the World Cup in Japan and South Korea, when you used to wake up to World Cup football. Certainly remember the big televisions being wheeled into the hall at school to watch that World Cup. Ball runs loose all the way towards the left-hand side for Alexander Schlager, who missed Euro 2024 with a knee injury, which he picked up a month before the tournament, and they said his world collapsed. But Austria's form under Ralf Rangnick has meant they now get a chance on the world stage, 28 years on since their last appearance in 1998. They had the ball midway inside the Jordan half, chipped out towards the right-hand side and controlled well, played back down the line, using Niklas Seiwald of RB Leipzig, who's become a bit of a key man for Ralf Rangnick. He's played in all but one of Rangnick's games as Austria coach. Drifting ball out towards the left-hand side. Chase comes from Mvene. He does well, and he's won a goal kick. He tried to play it off the defender, didn't go off to plan. Austria 0, Jordan 0.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned Ralf Rangnick. I think since he's come in, you can see there's been improvements, certainly in playing style and results as well. And, you know, in the Euros, I enjoyed watching them play. I'm just watching it again. I'm not sure if that was a corner. He tries to play it off the defender, doesn't he? And I think he does do that, so he's unfortunate not to get a corner there.
Yeah, VAR can review incorrect corners. It can't award them, as Austria come in on the right-hand side. The pullback, 2 Jordanian defenders are able to get back there and stop Sabitzer racing onto the ball at the rear of the 6-yard box. Now a foul given for a handball against a sliding Konrad Laimer in the penalty area. Free kick to Jordan.
Yeah, you can see that Austria obviously looking Kalajdzic is going to be that real sort of focal point, that target man up top, and then you've got Schmidt, you've got Sabitzer, you've got the midfielders trying to join in as well, and you know that's the way that Ralf Rangnick wants to play, but we've not really seen any sort of patterns of play as of yet.
Konrad Laimer, who was sent off in their final warm-up game, their only warm-up game, Austria. They were due to play 2 games. As the ball is launched towards Altamari, he needs a head of Stefan Posch just to take it away, but the ball runs out towards this near side. Altamari tries the dancing feet, doesn't get past Posch, and Austria are able to bring the ball away from their own 18-yard box, playing it in triangles. Have worked it forward with quick, smooth 1 or 2 touch passing. As they get into the centre circle, though, challenge comes in from Abdallah Nassib, and it is Jordan who have the possession. Yeah, Australia played Tunisia, of which Konrad Laimer was sent off in. They were due to play Guatemala in another friendly, but FIFA didn't approve of the fixture due to Guatemala already playing 2 friendlies as warm-up games for Czechia and Ecuador. So slight hamper to their preparation. Ralf Rangnick with his lilac-coloured polo shirt on, open at the chest, and then a smart grey suit for the manager who you were talking about there, Sue. He's, according to what I've learned, speaking to an Austrian journalist, is very much taken the approach that he did at Manchester United. He's not scared to speak his mind. He's not scared to tell the Austrian FA exactly what he thinks. The shot comes in, not hit cleanly enough from Jordan and Altamari, and it's easily caught on his goal line by Alexander Schlager. Yeah,
he does well, Altamari there. He's certainly been involved in these opening stages, hasn't he? Whenever he's got the ball, like I say, that he's looking to face forward, he's looking to drive at that Austrian defence. He just gets a yard, shot straight at the goalkeeper. You'd expect him to save.
Ball forward that Sabitzer chases, but Jordan comfortably allowing the ball to run out. 0-0, 9 minutes played. This is the other match in Group J, having earlier witnessed a fantastic Lionel Messi performance. Argentina 3, Algeria 0, all goals to Lionel Messi. He now has 16 World Cup goals, and that puts him level with Miroslav Klose. If you're waking up, you can read the match report, watch the highlights on the BBC Sport website and app. And of course, once this game is done, if you fancy a little bit more about the Messi history, there is a BBC podcast series available, 4-parter, BBC Sounds, Sporting Giants, Messi against Ronaldo. Messi versus Ronaldo. Steve Crossman, Gillian Balaguer looking at the pair, and perhaps drawing comparisons, rivalries, and finding out who is the better. Here come Austria down the left-hand side, trying to play the ball in towards Konrad Laimer, who've moved in field, not successfully so. Ball back on the halfway line.
No, they're certainly committing players forward, though, Austria, when they break the 2 wide players, wing-backs, if you like, at times. They're getting forward. The midfielders are joining in with the forwards as well. Just lack that final ball when they've got into that final third at the moment.
Austria, infield pass from the far side touchline, squeezing across it, deflects. Oh, Kalajdzic flicks on his header backwards. Jordan deal with it. Kalajdzic had time there. He was in front of the goalkeeper at the near post. The angle wouldn't have favoured him. Long-range shot comes in, blocked before it enters the 18-yard box, with David Alaba trying his effort. A little strange moment there for Kalajdzic.
Yeah, it was a bizarre one, wasn't it? They did well down the left-hand side, and Kalajdzic just picks the ball up. He's at that near post, and he just goes to flick it on. He probably had time to bring it down.
Savitzer's cross. Swan-like, diving swan-like header away from the edge of the 6-yard box from Jordan. Ball loops up into the air, bounces awkwardly on the far side touchline. Sabitzer tries to make himself a nuisance along with Schlager. Ball played into the penalty area for Laimer to try and get there first. Last touch is off Yazan Al-Arab. Goes behind for a corner, which the referee indicated at first, but then he realises Laimer was offside, and a free kick to Jordan's given. Yeah, it's actually good defending, isn't it, from Jordan Al-Arab. As you know, you can see what again Austria are trying to do. They're trying to get in between their sort of full back or the wing back and one of the defenders, and they're using that space. They do that so well, but you know, he covered across and got his team the goal kick. Jordan didn't lose away from home in qualifying, won 4, draw 4, and would like to take that form away from their home country here in the States as Olwan comes forward, left-hand side, puts it towards the corner of the penalty area. The cross is never really convincing on its height, doesn't get above waist level, and a diving header away sees it clear the Austrian penalty area. Free kick given on the edge of the centre circle as Kalajdzic goes down.
Yeah, and that's what Austria can do when Jordan break forward and they do commit men forward. That's when they're looking to hit on the break. Kalajdzic comes in as that sort of, he's a deep midfielder. He'll come in, try and win the ball, and then other players will run in beyond him, and he does well to win a foul, just uses his body well, and once he feels something, he goes down.
Large lanky frame of Kalajdzic. He is as thin as a rake as well. There's very little build on Sasha Kalajdzic. I wonder where you'd come up to him if you stood side by side, Sue.
Probably, I don't know, maybe knee height.
Austria come forward. Kalajdzic moves over towards that far side to offer his assistance. They'll want him in the middle. Certainly if they get the ball to the wide positions, it will be a tactic of Austria to try and get the crosses in and use Kalajdzic's head. He had a torrid time at Wolves. He's had a torrid time with injuries, really, between 2019 and 2024. He had 3 ACL injuries. It's probably a little bit of a miracle that he's still playing professional football.
Oh, to have one ACL injury and come back from it is difficult. You know, I was unfortunate to have one of those, but then to have it 3 times, it's just brilliant to see him back on the pitch.
Now plays his football for Lask in Austria. He went back home to kind of rediscover form, start enjoying football again. The tallest player at the World Cup, 2 metres tall as well, Kalajdzic. Jordan in possession. Play it back to their goalkeeper of Abu Layla, Yazid Abu Layla. There's a theory in Jordan, when I was speaking to one of the journalists over there, that he's not a very good goalkeeper, that they'd rather have, in their kind of previous golden years, 2004, 2010, 2014, the goalkeeper for all of those memorable, particularly Asian Cup tournaments, was Amir Shafi. He's 44. There's a theory that he'd do a better job at 44 than the man they've got in at the moment, as Kalajdzic ties the ball down in the penalty area. Again, chooses not to try and test Abu Layla, teeing up a teammate instead. It just doesn't come off.
Oh, it's really good play. I think it's Schlager picks the ball up on the left-hand side, cuts in on his right foot, and it's a really good delivery there to Kalajdzic, who's coming in at the far post, but good defending, just gets the touch before he can put the ball in the back of the net.
Kalajdzic just gently jogs into the penalty area expecting a cross, but Austria have gone into the centre circle. Now play it back to Schlager, who'll be under some serious pressure here from Al-Tamari. Schlager left-footed long over the halfway line. Header is down from Jordan inside their own half, and they've worked the ball well. Here's Olwan, right-hand side, needs to use a little bit of pace. There is recovery from Mvene. Lays it back down the touchline. Here's Ehsan. He's had the real meaningful shot in this game. We've played nearly quarter of an hour. Austria 0, Jordan 0. He found the side netting in doing so. And the heavy pass runs past Mohamed Al-Nadi, but Jordan have the recovering Abu Taha to pick the ball up on the touchline. He can do nothing with it. Austria turn over possession. Posh towards Seivald. More minutes than any other player for Austria in World Cup qualifying. Now the long early cross in towards Kalajdzic. His header doesn't go anywhere, but taking no chances was Abu Al-Nadi, and that's behind. He heads it over his own bar for an Austria corner.
Yeah, you can see Austria, that's what they're trying to do, get deliveries into the box. When you've got somebody of that height and that size delivered into the box from the right-hand side, plays it down. Kalajdzic, he's looking for Posh just coming in, but can't quite, you know, get the shot off. But much better from Austria, isn't it? And Jordan are defending well at the moment, defending those crosses into the box.
So Marcel Sabitzer, formerly of Dortmund and of Manchester United, plays that corner, short, cross comes in, headed away by Al-Arab. And foul given as Jordan clear the ball out of their penalty area for a pull. Referee, a little shrug of the shoulders from our Mauritius referee. Al-Tamari had his arm pulled by Conrad Lima. Here come Jordan on the quickly taken free kick. Edge of the penalty area, take the shot. What a save by Schlager to push it over the bar. It was Ode Fakori, 20 yards out, right to the D, right-footed, powerful effort. It needed Schlager, who was off his line, to push over.
Oh, it's a brilliant save from Schlager. You know, we mentioned that he is prone to errors, as is the Jordan goalkeeper, but this is a fantastic save. You know, Fakari's breaking forward, and it's that deflection, so he's got to react quickly, Schlager, and just pushes it over for a corner.
Yeah, deflection off Seiwald as well, so he did really well right-handed, palm of his glove, pushing it over the bar. So Jordan's first corner of the game. Fakari, having had that shot, comes over towards the near side. Jordan's left in this first half to take the corner, and he goes short as well. Uses Abu Taha. They played that back towards the midway point of the Austrian half. Now it is launched high into the penalty area. Al Arab will try and get under it. Cushioned down by Austria, pushed forward by Lima, and here's Sabitzer almost on the halfway line. Run had been made by Schmidt, initially offside, held his run, and now the crossfield pass out towards this near side. Can't be controlled by Schmidt. Jordan throw.
Oh, it's great vision though, isn't it, from Sabitzer? He picks the ball up on the left-hand side and he just sees the run of Schmidt. It's a brilliant crossfield pass. But yeah, Schmidt just can't quite control it.
So already in the World Cup today, France 3, Senegal 1, and Mbappe becomes France's all-time top scorer with a couple of goals in that game. You can watch them on the BBC Sport website and app. Norway, Haaland scoring twice. They beat Iraq by 4-1, and we've mentioned already Argentina through a Messi hat-trick. 20 years to the day since his very first World Cup goal. Made it 3-0 against Algeria. 4 games to come later on today, starting with Portugal against the Democratic Republic of Congo. That's a 6 o'clock start. England get their World Cup underway, 9 o'clock, and on the Ladies Football Daily podcast that'll be dropping very shortly, you can hear John Murray with Thomas Tuchel and the England captain Harry Kane. Kalajdzic lays it back just outside the penalty area. Sabitzer dances, switches it onto his left foot. Ball deflects out towards the far side of the box. Now they need the pull back. There's Kalajdzic to stab it over the bar. And now the flag goes up. It wouldn't have counted anyway. 0-0.
Yeah, I think they were offside just on that left-hand side, but it's good play from Austria. They keep the ball moving. Sabitzer picks the ball up centrally and it deflects out wide, and that's where the offside was. He manages to pull it back to Kalajdzic, and you can see what he's trying to do. He's just trying to lob it over the goalkeeper, just loop it over. But it was offside anyway. Better play, though.
Who is the better side 20 minutes into this game, Sue?
I'd say Austria are having more possession, aren't they? Probably looking more dangerous now, putting those little patterns of play that we were saying that they couldn't quite, you know, get into it in those opening stages. But Jordan certainly looked dangerous on the break. They've got quality players, they've got pace, technical ability in those attacking areas, so they still look dangerous, but probably Austria just edging it.
Austria as well, without their key man, Christoph Baumgartner. Picked up a thigh injury in the warm-up game against Tunisia. He is here, he's on crutches, but he's part of the team. He's kind of been kept in for that team spirit. He is so crucial to Austria, but will play no part in this World Cup. Just how big a blow maybe we'll see later on in the tournament as Austria come forward, left-hand side of the penalty area towards the corner of it. It is laid back towards Schmidt. Long-range effort, oh, what a goal! Romano Schmidt for Austria, long range into the right-hand side of the goal. They're not missing their key man. He runs over to the bench to celebrate with his team that will include Christoph Baumgartner in that huddle. A fantastic goal to give Austria the lead, and it's Austria 1, Jordan 0.
Oh, it's absolutely brilliant from Schmidt. We needed a moment of quality, didn't we, to just break the deadlock in this game, and he's just provided it. He starts out on the right-hand side, gets himself central. We were saying Austria were really getting themselves into the game, and, you know, when it falls to Schmidt, he just takes a touch onto his right foot. He's outside the area, and he just curls it into that far corner. It's an absolute brilliant finish from Schmidt.
Taking his club form onto the world stage, a standout player in a difficult season for Werder Bremen in the Bundesliga in Germany. Round of applause from Ralf Rangnick, who gets to his feet from his dugout to applaud a brilliant strike. 20 yards, left-hand side of the D. He let rip, and the goalkeeper was just flat-footed and could only watch.
Yeah, he's got great ability, he's got great vision and awareness.
What's Jordan's response? Needs David Alaba to get back, recover and send the ball into the stand behind the goal to our left-hand side for a Jordan corner.
And they'll be so pleased that David Alaba is fit for this game. You know, I know there was concerns he might not be, and you know, just using all of his experience there.
He's going to turn 34 in the group stage. Is David Alaba, Austria's second most capped player behind Marko Arnautovic. Will be leaving Real Madrid. That exit was confirmed after the final round of La Liga games. Jordan corner in, all flicked on. It's going to loop onto the crossbar. Played it short, clipped the ball into the box, and Abu Taha, with a flick of a header, sends it looping over Schlager, and it's the crossbar that denies Jordan an equaliser.
Oh, what a response from Jordan from the corner, and it's a really good header. It's clever. Great movement to get across his man, and then he just looks to just flick it over the top of the goalkeeper, which he does, but just hits the bar. Great effort.
They have not been left wallowing from going behind in their first ever World Cup game. Jordan looking for a quick response to the great strike from Schmidt. Referee here has blown his whistle midway through the first half, so we get our answer, despite the temperatures only being 16 degrees in San Francisco as we tick towards 10 o'clock at night. It is a hydration break for the players.
Yeah, I think this has been a frustration for, you know, a few fans watching, and you know, I've heard a few things online. Obviously, you understand a hydration break when the temperatures are really high. The players need that, but I think, you know, when the temperatures are as they are, they don't need that. It's just an opportunity, isn't it, for the managers to get some tactical info on there.
Yeah, in a World Cup where they've stopped the goalkeepers going down for tactical timeouts, this 3-minute hand to the coaches to go and readjust maybe negotiates that anyway. So are we any better off? The Jordan head coach, Jamal Salami, the Moroccan who was given Jordanian citizenship by King Abdullah II after guiding to the World Cup, has his players in a huddle around him. So does Ralf Rangnick, as we'll get a replay of a couple of chances in this game. But Jordan's response from going behind has been positive. They'll want to keep that wave of momentum going. It's just whether the hydration break has now stopped that.
Yeah, do you know what? They responded really well to going a goal down, but they've looked dangerous. Like, say, Austria have had more of the ball, but when they break, they do break with pace and with quality. And, you know, but for a very good save from Schlager, a couple of efforts, one that hit the bar, one that hit the side netting. So Austria will know that they're still really in a game here. The difference is the quality from Schmidt and that finish. Just watching it again, they try to close him down. They come out, but maybe not quick enough. I don't think they expect such quality from that range, but you've got to know your players, and he's certainly capable of that.
Steps up on the big occasion, does Schmidt. That's his 4th competitive international goal. All 4 of his goals for Austria have been in competitive matches. He doesn't score in friendlies, he's not bothered about them. It's about performing on the big stage, and he has most certainly done that with a fine goal. And the game now rolling into its 25th minute. The hydration break over, with the players slowly walking back out onto the field. Jet black skies above this open roof stadium, floodlights shining down, making the pitch look bright and vibrant. 3 tiers circling this stadium, as so often it looks like many American stadiums, the open roof, the looming stands. Austria 1, Jordan 0 on BBC Radio 5 Live. France beat Senegal earlier, Iraq losing to Norway, Argentina beating Algeria. 4 games to come over the next 24 hours as well. Portugal against DR Congo from 6, and Croatia from 9. Ghana, Panama also in England's group, then follows at midnight, before at 3 a.m. tomorrow morning, Uzbekistan against Colombia. And you can listen to them all on BBC Radio 5 Live. So when play resumes, it'll be in the left-back position of Jordan, down on this near side for a throw in which Abu Al-Nadi is preparing to take. Plays his football in Malaysia, but was born in the US, in Kansas. He came through the system there, didn't start many of the World Cup qualifiers, only 6 of the 16 that Jordan played, but he's been selected by the manager this evening as the cameras pan on to Schmidt, the fair-haired, brown-haired Austrian midfielder who has scored a rocket into the right-hand side of the goal to be the difference between these 2 teams. 26 minutes played, Austria 1, Jordan 0. Posh wanted to take a quick throw. I mean, most throw-ins have to be quick in this World Cup, but he wanted to go quicker than most down the right-hand side. He receives those duties, though. And Philipp Lienhardt backs away towards the advertising hoarders, launches the ball into the penalty area. Kalajdzic goes towards the near post to try and win it. Goes over his head, though, and Jordan Hackett clear. Into the Austrian half, nobody there bar the goalkeeper Alexander Schlager.
Yeah, and that's what Austria are looking for. They're looking for that long throw from Lienhardt, obviously looking for Kalajdzic, and you can see that the other players are trying to just clear the area for him to win that first header, and then they gamble on the second ball. But again, Jordan defended that set piece pretty well.
Austrian possession inside their own half by the centre circle. Here's Lienhardt, who missed most of 2026 with an abdominal issue. He's a former Real Madrid man. Made his debut in 2015 under Rafa Benitez. Replaced James Rodriguez, who was then the star of the 2014 World Cup. Here's Mvene. Low centre of gravity. Just keeps the ball close to his feet on the far side touchline. Uses Alaba. Pushes the ball back into his own half. A little bit of pressure from Altamari. Austria have managed to see the ball forward. Kalajdzic can't bring the ball under his control, but they've got it back on the edge of the centre circle. Clever little dummy from Zabitzer. Allows Mvene to get towards the corner of the penalty area. In behind Lima. Sent away, first time of asking from Jordan.
That's great play, though, isn't it, from Zabitzer? He sees the run on his outside shoulder, just does a lovely little over and takes the defenders out. But then just the final ball into the box wasn't quite what the Austrian forwards wanted.
Alaba slides in, then just chips the ball up nicely to his teammate Kalajdzic, and Al-Arab go toe-to-toe. Kalajdzic goes to ground, and Al-Arab is able to clear away, has a little glance towards the referee. Here's Zabitzer, just pushes the ball under his boot, rolls it back and forth, and then goes back to Mvene, back to Alaba. Austria very keen, very common for them, that when they get to the edge of the defensive third of Jordan and it doesn't work out, push the ball back to the halfway line, go again.
Yeah, they've got their way of playing both on and off the ball, and I think to play this way, you've got to be really fit. You've got to have that energy constantly. You know, when they don't have it, they're looking to press really high and aggressively. When they do have it, the movement's very, very good, and you can see it's all very well timed.
There's an Austrian side that have brought belief back to the nation. They were in a real slump before Ralf Rangnick came in. Here is Schmidt. Does he fancy it again, this time from the right-hand side of the DR? Sabitzer's done the back heel, and Mvene with the crossing. Kalajdzic flicks his header on, can't send it goalwards, try to tee up a teammate, whether knowingly or not. Recovery from Lima on the ball. Here is Schlager, Schlager. Out towards this near side touchline for Schmidt. Feeds it in towards the middle of the area, middle of the pitch. But it can't be worked, despite the clever flick from behind of Stefan Posch. It goes out for a goal kick.
You can see what Austria do so well. Sabitzer on one side and Schmidt on the other, where they come quite central, and then they're looking for the fullbacks or the wing-backs to provide that width. And it is causing Jordan problems, because at times that they're overloaded on each wing, and they're sending one player out and then another player, and then the spaces in between that they're exploiting. So Austria have done that very, very well in the sort of latter stages that we've seen.
Huge smile on the faces of the coaching staff as we get a replay of Schmidt's goal. Yeah, when Ralf Rangnick came in, Austria were in a slump. Only 5,000 people turning up to home internationals. Now 40,000 go and watch them in Vienna. There's a real good feel about this side and what they can do. They're going for a first World Cup win since 1990, when they beat the United States in Italy by 0-0. Jordan in possession. Long time, it feels, as we hit over half an hour played here, since they have put any sort of pressure on the 18-yard box. They responded well to the goal that Austria scored, but last 5-10 minutes or so, they've not been able to get forward. Curling ball, nicely played out towards the right-hand side by Nort. Headed away from the Austrian penalty area. Schmidt volleys it, left-footed, not with too much power, and Jordan are able to recover. Move the ball out towards this near side. Their left. Here's Abu Al-Nadi. Noor Al-Rawabde. Tries to feed it down the middle, unsuccessfully so. Austria have monitored their 18-yard box well. Here is Schmidt. That's going to be a side foot pass down the middle, which Lima trying to race onto. Al-Arab can't get back in time, or can he? Lima spins on the ball, flicks it into the middle of the penalty area, goes down. Nothing given for now, and Lima face down in the grass in San Francisco. Will probably be questioning the referee when the ball next goes out of play.
Yeah, I think it was actually really good defending. I would like to see it again, but I think Al-Arab gets back well. You can see Lima, brilliant movement. He knows when the ball gets into those central areas, he's just making the run, and he breaks forward, but Al-Arab kept with him, and I think it was good defending.
Posh, right-hand side, has he got the pace to get around his man? He has. Posh on the angle, oh, heavy touch, just invited the recovering Al-Arab to get back. The shot double deflects, flies over the bar, goes behind for a goal kick. Stefan Posh, the defender, getting forward and probably showing a defender's touch.
Oh, you're spot on, Mike, because the first touch was brilliant. He takes it across the first defender, but then that second touch was just too heavy and allowed Al-Arab to get back and put the sliding challenge in.
Yeah, both, as we get a replay of that Al-Arab and Lima chase towards the right of the penalty area. It's just a 50-50 on the shirt pull. It's just Lima who goes to floor.
Yeah, it's the correct decision. I think they were both pulling each other's shirts. Lima tries to get across him, but really good defender. He's done some really good last-ditch challenges. He's got that real pace to get back and recover.
Ralf Rangnick, glasses on, short hair, making the square in the air, to perhaps suggest to the fourth official that he wanted that Lima Al-Arab combination to be looked at for a possible penalty, but VAR has decided that no further action is needed. 33 minutes played, Austria 1, Jordan 0 in San Francisco. As Al-Tamari wrestles for the ball and wins it. Now it's played out towards this near side touchline for Abu Taha. Not seen too much of him. Left-sided midfielder, scored a great goal against Kuwait. 35-yard free kick. Plays his football in Iraq, 4 goals, 8 assists this season for him. So when he gets forward, he might be as much of a target as the likes of Orwan or Al-Tamari, but yet to really see him. That's a nice angled header into the penalty areas. Jordan look for their equaliser, saved by Schlager. Where's the follow-up? Hits the back of a recovering defender. I think it was Lienhardt that hit, slamming the back on the second shot there from Jordan that came in. Right-hand side of the box. Now they've worked it out towards the left-hand side. Abu Taha, cross comes in. Behind everybody in a white shirt. Ball cleared away. Here's Al Rashdan trying to force a way through, but he can't. And Austria able to clear it up towards the halfway line out for a throw-in on this near side. Better from Jordan.
Yeah, really much better from Jordan, and I think we've said it continually, haven't we, through this first half, that when they do break, they do have quality and they can cause problems. It's from the right-hand side. It's a diagonal ball. The header comes inside, and I'm just trying to see who actually has the shot. I think it's Al-Awain, isn't it, who has the shot. And it's another good save from the goalkeeper, Schlager, and then the second effort's deflected, but they do look dangerous when they break.
Certainly do, causing Austria problems. Counter-attacking football from Jordan, and have given their nation a lot of optimism to believe in the national side. It is the first sport, it is only really football in Jordan. They did have a basketball team that made the World Cup, but I was told there wasn't much interest in that. There is certainly a lot about this World Cup. 10 minutes from half-time, and Austria leading Jordan by a goal to nil. Here's Al-Arab, plays his football in South Korea. He's the only player at the World Cup who plays his football in South Korea who isn't from South Korea. Al-Arab plays for FC Seoul, his 75th cap for his nation tonight. Ball at the back for Jordan. The defender there of Naseem just opens out his arms, wants the wide play, but didn't really have the option to give that. Here's Abu Taha, clipped up out towards the far side by Nizar Al-Rashdan, can't be kept in play by Aysam Haddad, the captain. And Salami, the coach, in his suit, trying to applaud his players and give them a little bit of encouragement, with them seemingly unable to keep momentum. When they go forward, they're dangerous, but there's never a wave of Jordanian attack.
No, there isn't, and I think, you know, we keep saying, when they do counter, they do commit men forward, and they do look dangerous because they do have that pace, and they've got that quality to beat a player and get the shot away. But yeah, it's just not consistent, is it? And that's something I'm sure that they'll be working on. But I think the manager's come in and completely transformed them, hasn't he? He's done absolutely brilliant, not just tactically, but also just giving them a belief and a togetherness that they can go out and compete with some of the best nations.
Really cares for Jordan, does their Moroccan coach. He wants to work with the domestic league so it can produce young players capable of representing the national team. Shouldered from Lima out towards Zabitzer on the far left-hand side for Austria, but out of play it goes for a Jordan throw. Austria 1, Jordan 0. 8 minutes to go to half-time. Rick Edwards will be standing by in LA to take you through half-time and also bring you 5 Live Breakfast along with Rachel Burden from 7 o'clock. Slightly later start to 5 Live Breakfast due to this game kicking off at 5 a.m. UK time. The sun rising. Cloudy skies in the northwest of England, certainly. It's a lot warmer in Amman than it is in San Francisco, with the morning well underway in Jordan. 23 degrees this morning. It'll rise to the low 30s by mid-afternoon. Schmidt putting a little bit of pressure on the Jordanian defence as they clear it, but it ricochets out for a goal kick.
Yeah, and I think that's what Austria do so well. They do press high and aggressively, and they go in numbers. They don't just go in ones, and you can see Jordan were trying to play the ball out from the back. The goalkeeper out to the fullback, and straight away Austria were on them and won the ball back high, and sometimes that's how they score some of their goals.
Austria in possession. Austria, who won 6 of their 8 games in qualifying, they scored 22 goals, including a 10-0 win over San Marino. The group also featuring Bosnia, Romania and Cyprus. Conceded only 4 goals, and Schlager's made a couple of saves to complete their good, solid defensive record under Ralf Rangnick in this game and stop them being drawn level. Kalajdzic goes to ground and still tries to play keepy-uppy with the ball. Good sliding play from Posh on the halfway line just to take the ball away from the waiting feet of Ode Fakori. Lienhardt back to Schlager away to our left-hand side. Austria outfield plays in the red shirts with the black sleeves, the black shorts, the red socks are from left to right for these closing stages. 6 minutes to go of the regulation 45, and then there'll be at least 3 minutes of added time because the hydration break gets added on. Alaba, left-footed, high ball over the halfway line, brought down on the chest by Al Arab, smartly and smoothly done from their central defender. Change of direction from Al Rashdan. Al Arab continues his run to try and influence the play, but Austria have intercepted. Here's Kalajdzic, has no one out to his right-hand side, did check over his shoulder to see if there was support available. Eventually Posh catches up with play as Kalajdzic is tripped by Al Rashdan. Austria free kick just outside the centre circle. It's
actually really good centre-forward play, isn't it? From Kalajdzic there, he drops deep to receive the ball. He doesn't have any options. He's looking left and right, and then he just feels the touch and goes down and wins his team a free kick centrally.
Mexican wave around the stadium in the Bay Area. I've not worked with you yet, Sue, in this World Cup. What's your opinion?
Can I say no comment?
If you've got nothing nice to say nothing at all. That's the best policy. 5 minutes to the break. Austria free kick then. David Alaba is standing over it. Pretty central position of this as well, just on the tip of the centre circle inside the Jordan half. Left-footed, delicately floated into the box. Header is down, but will be seen away by the left boot of Al Arab, who steps over to clear it away. The flag is up, and that's a free kick to Jordan, who trail by a 1-0.
Yeah, I think the free kick comes in and it looks to go out wide. There's runners out there, and yeah, they clearly move offside. They go a little bit too early. Could say good defensive line from Jordan as well.
So good morning to our UK listeners as well, who are just waking up. Austria 1-0 up. 5 Live Breakfast on the way from 7. From 1 p.m. it is Breakfast in America with Steve Crossman. 1 p.m. our time, of course, early morning in New York there. Saw he was in a cafe for yesterday's edition of Breakfast in America and had 3 pancakes, each with a different topping on. very jealous of Steve Crossman's breakfast that morning. Our breakfast here features a large can of energy drink to make sure we're awake here on BBC Radio 5 Live. Jordan here have a free kick. Hands on hips from the taker. That looks like it's going to be Nizar Al-Rashdan, his white shirt. No collar on these Jordan shirts. Two players run over the ball. Al-Rashdan delivers it in, right-footed, flat delivery, takes a nick off an Austrian head, goes behind for a Jordan corner. Yeah, and they'll be looking at taking advantage of these set pieces. They've got decent delivery into the box. They've got players that are good in the air. There's a chance for them to get an equaliser just before the break. Jordan on their first ever World Cup appearance, looking to become the first AFC nation to reach a knockout stage for the first time of asking since Saudi Arabia did so in 1994. Corner here to Austria, near side the left. Mohamed Abu Taha, flat delivery low along the ground, powered in. It'll come back to the corner taker on this near side, quickly pressured by Mvene. Forces him back down the line, but then he fancies a turn towards the byline. Has he got the better of Mvene there? He gets the low cross in. Player tries to pirouette on the ball. Didn't send it goal bound, couldn't tee up a teammate. Austria smash it clear. Well, the initial corner from Taha wasn't great. He tried to hit it flat and it was straight at the first defender, but then it comes out to him and does really, really well. Beats his man, gets the delivery into the box, and yeah, it's just a little pirouette. I'm not really sure what they were trying to do in the area, whether they were looking for the foul to try and get the penalty. Could have maybe get hold of the ball. Can you spin? Can you have the shot? Free kick given us for Corey. Gets a nudge in the back from Stefan Posch, the coach. Jalan Samari wants a yellow card, was doing the yellow card motion, waving his left wrist in the air towards the referee. Players do that and they get booked. The coach has survived for now, though. 90 seconds of the 45 remain. 45 minutes, the first 45 minutes in this game. Austria 1, Jordan 0. Free kick, left of centre, midway inside the Austria half. It is just a two-man wall for Austria, featuring Marcel Sabitzer. Again, two players run over the ball as it is sent in from distance from Al-Tamari. It's a red shirt in the penalty area, and Austria have got it clear. Jordan on the recovery, play it back to Abu Layla, the goalkeeper in yellow, away to our right-hand side, and they start again from the back. Little delicate clip ball forward. Hit Schlager. Some appeals that it might have hit Schlager's arm, but throwing to Jordan is the final decision of the referee. Yeah, there's been a couple of times where Jordan have got themselves into good positions and maybe just not quite found that final pass or that final delivery. You know, they had a free kick in a dangerous position there, and they just tried to hit it as hard as they possibly could, and there was players just at that far post could have maybe dinked it over there. So just that decision making maybe needs to improve in the second half. A long ball away from the edge of the Jordan penalty area. Austria have got the ball back into their control. Romano Schmidt there, goal scorer. Can't do much with it though. And here is Olwan going down the left-hand side with a little canter. Plays it out towards this near side touchline. Abu Taha tries to turn again. He fancies taking on the members of the Austrian defence. He got the better of Mvene, but not this time, and Jordan have to rethink their plan, switching the play out towards the right-hand side. Here's Al-Rashdan, three red shirts around him. Ball comes to a player that can clip it into the penalty area, though. Austria's defence have not dealt with that efficiently, but a skewed Jordan pass on the edge of the penalty area is inviting for Austria to clear it again. Here's Al-Tamari, a little bit of pace in his boots as well. He's past one, he's past two. Does he fancy the shot? Oh, he scuffs it. And it runs wide of the near right-hand post from where he took the angle from. 4 minutes of added time go up, and Austria protect that 1-0 lead, but more rather through a miscue from Jordan than their own work. Oh, he does everything right apart from the final shot. He picks the ball up on the right-hand side. He just glides past players. He's got that real change of pace and good centre of gravity, low centre of gravity, good balance, shifts it onto his left foot. And like you said, he just scuffs it at the end. He's outside the box. You can see he's looking for that near post, and yeah, it just goes wide, but brilliant up until the shot. Slow-mo replay showed some stare from the referee towards his direction when he indicated a goal kick. Foul given and an Austria free kick on the halfway line. All our officials today, this is the beauty of the World Cup, come from different nations. The referee is from Mauritius. We've got Angolan and Cameroonian assistant referees, a Jamaican fourth official. VAR is Egyptian, assisted by a Colombian and a Brazilian. This is what the World Cup is about. Brings nations together on the world stage. Austria free kick here, leading as they are by a goal to nil. The first of 4 additional minutes in the first half has gone by. Alaba, short free kick. Uses Seivald, and Alaba gets it back. Clips it into his own half. I wondered if that was a misplaced pass, but actually there was a defender hanging back in Lienhart. Didn't need Posch to recover. Back to Schlager they go. Left-footed long ball over the halfway line. Again, Kalajdzic and Al-Arab. Kalajdzic is able to flick on the ball. It moves out towards the right-hand side. Waiting support is Schmidt. Not that he needs support, given the goal he scored in this game. I am enjoying the battle between Al-Arab and Kalajdzic. Jordan's long ball forward. Schlager comes out of his penalty area. Delicately plays it to Mvene on the far side.
Yeah, it's great. There's some battles all over the pitch, isn't there? And, you know, at the moment, Austria may be coming out on top in some of those. But, yeah, Jordan have certainly showed what they're capable of and the qualities that they do have.
Yeah, haven't been outclassed. In fact, they've had more attempts on goal than Austria have, 8-5. Possession, though, falls in favour of the European side. Drifting ball to Sabitzer, who's tight ponytail as it started the game. Looks like it's come a little bit looser. Bouncing a little bit more with every stride that he takes. Brown hair as forward comes Altamari of Jordan. Only has one man to aim for in the middle in Fakori. He might not need him. Comes in from the right-hand side of the penalty area. Austria's swarming of Jordan players when they get near the box is quite impressive. And as Jordan thought about their attack, Austria try and get on the counter-attack. Kalajdzic has just slowed it down on the halfway line.
Well, Alaba just got caught in possession there by Altamari, and he's breaking into the box, and Schlager has to come back and try and protect, you know, his centre-half that had made the mistake. But we've kept mentioning him, haven't we, Altamari? We've kept saying he's the danger player, he's the one. He's just so brave, wants to go forward, wants to try and create something, and being close on a couple of occasions.
Deep into the final minute of the 4 minutes of added time then. Austria 1, Jordan 0. Two nations enjoying, well, one being back on the world stage, the other appearing for the first time ever in Jordan as Nassib tries to cushion the ball down. He's only found an Austrian player though. Kalajdzic is a good 30 yards out, sees the opportunity, rising shot over the bar.
Yeah, it was funny, we could see his face after he took that shot. He knew, he just got right underneath it, went well over the bar.
Whistle goes for half-time. Ralph Rangnick makes his way back down the touchline. The players head for the corner. It's been an entertaining first half. I think the first 45 minutes have gone by pretty quickly here on BBC Radio 5.
For my generation growing up and sort of seeing England repeatedly get knocked out of the quarter-final stage by Brazil or Portugal or whoever, is a sense that
I wanted to talk to you about the Jordan Henderson situation, and you've been writing about him and his importance to the squad. Obviously, there was a lot of talk about the dressing room dynamics under Thomas Tuchel. Just how much of a big role has he played for the group, do you think?
Yeah, Jordan Henderson is a really, really integral part of the England squad. You know, Gareth Southgate obviously left him out for Euro 2024, which I think was a big mistake. It was a mistake that Thomas Tuchel remedied almost as soon as he took over. He is the glue in the dressing room. He is probably the most natural leader in the squad, maybe even more so than the captain, Harry Kane. Speak to any England player, they'll tell you how important Henderson is. Henderson actually gave a press conference at the England Media Centre on Sunday evening here in Kansas City, and he's such a good talker and was able to explain his role in the squad. And I think that even if we don't see a huge amount of him on the pitch, he is so important to everything England doing behind the scenes.
England fans will be getting ready for today's big game.
With long-lasting battery life on the Dell XPS, you can stay plugged in, even when you're unplugged.
Jack, I just wanted to get the guys' thoughts in the studio on this. I mean, Jay, let's come to you first. Is this a wasted spot or is it wise management to have an old head in there?
Well, me and Mark were having this discussion before we started recording, and I guess the dilemma that Tuchel's presented with is let's say Henderson's a fourth choice central midfielder, right? And the alternatives were Morgan Gibbs-White or Adam Wharton. If none of them are going to play that much, what's more valuable? Bringing Wharton and Gibbs-White as a possible option, or the intangibles that Henderson does, which we will never see, but we're made aware of through interviews with the players, etc. And I do think that sometimes having a leader of Henderson's caliber is really crucial for maintaining standards, keeping people positive, focused. I know that the video's sort of gone viral of Jude Bellingham and Morgan Rogers talking about, if you asked anybody in the squad who they'd want to be here, Henderson would be in everyone's top 5 because he's funny. And I think that's also a crucial element of it. These players, if they reach the final, will be away from home for 6-7 weeks. There'll be lots of travel. If Henderson is not just an older figure they can look up to for leadership, but can give you a little bit of comic relief, then that's important when you're sort of on top of each other day in, day out. And it can get very intense and it can get very stressful. To have someone there who can put his arm around your shoulder and crack a couple of jokes or two which lighten the mood, I think is very important. But there's no statistic that measures like comic relief or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? So it's hard for us from the outside looking in to see how valuable he is, but it sounds like stuff he does on a day-to-day basis, which is probably really simple, has a massive impact.
I'm tempted to just make you argue against having Jordan Henderson in the squad, but I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, I can try, even if it's not quite what I believe. I should preface this by saying I'm worrying that I'm very Tuchel-pilled. I'm like looking at the squad and have zero issue with any of the players, and then I always feel that like that's often the case during a tournament, and then when you look back like several years later and you look at the squad, you're like, well, why was he there? And it doesn't quite make sense anymore. But it's almost it just captures a moment in time. And I think, look, if I was going to make the argument against having Henderson there, it would be, and I agree with a lot of what you say, Jay. If I was going to make the argument against, I would say you sometimes need to get over the edge a change in the last 20 minutes of the game, in extra time. And if it was Adam Wharton on there with his ability to break lines with his passing, Jordan Henderson's passing is one of his greatest attributes, I've always thought. But if you have a player like that, can they make the difference? And that is what a lot of people will feel. And you can see it now, England going out in the quarterfinals disappointingly, and people saying, well, why wasn't this guy there? Why wasn't Wharton there? Why didn't we have somebody who could change things from the bench? It's the clearest argument against Henderson's selection, I think. But I was on this podcast last week arguing for it, so I can't really argue against it now. And I do think that, you know, you speak to people within the game. I remember being behind closed doors COVID games where you could hear Jordan Henderson constantly on the pitch, just barking orders, rallying teammates on. You need figures like that, and especially need that, I think, if you're going through a moment of transition, which England are at the minute. This is their first major tournament under a new manager after almost a decade, a really successful decade, we should say. You want continuity. You want some of that within figures who are in the squad, who know the place, who are like any successful club side would have. You'd have players who know how it works. You'd have veterans in the squad. It's normal. It's usual. You don't just pick the 26 most informed players and call that a squad. And I think that's why Jordan Henderson's there. It's probably partly why John Stones has such a prominent role as well. And I think it only makes sense to have that kind of continuity.
Well, Jack Critch just mentioned there about John Stones. He's only started 5 games for Manchester City last season, but sounds as if he's favourite to start in the game. So what does that mean for Mark Gay and Ezri Konsa then?
Well, look, the thing you've got to realise here is that Thomas Tuchel absolutely adores John Stones. He loves Stones, and he has always given Stones every possible chance to prove his fitness. If he thinks that Stones is fit enough to get through the 90 minutes against Croatia, Stones will play. It's as simple as that. I guess the interesting question is whether it's Gahey or Konsa alongside Stones, should Stones play. And while I think going into the tournament, lots of the expectation would be that it would be Stones and Gahey, it increasingly sounds, and look, nothing's certain yet, nothing's been confirmed. It sounds like it might be Konsa over Gahey alongside Stones, which would be interesting. Maybe that's to do with a bit more physicality, a bit more aggression from Konsa, but I think that is the interesting selection question at this point.
And Jack, in terms of a few other selection dilemmas, let me just throw a couple at you. Bellingham against Rodgers, who wins?
I think it's got to be Bellingham, and I think it's going to be Bellingham. Look, Rodgers is a great player. He's had a good season with Villa. Has actually played really, really well for Thomas Tuchel. You know, some of the best performances under Tuchel have been with Rodgers as the number 10. But I just think Bellingham is just special. He's got that X factor, and I think that he has done well enough in the friendlies that it's going to be Bellingham against Croatia.
And on the left wing, Gordon or Rashford?
So I'm a big Rashford guy. I would go for Rashford in that role. I think Rashford's top level is better than Gordon's personally. But Gordon was really good in the friendlies in Florida beforehand. So there's kind of a suggestion that maybe that's going to edge Gordon just ahead of Rashford. So I'm not quite sure on that one.
And Jack, it wouldn't be an England tournament if we weren't getting obsessed about the referee and fearing that he's going to have some sort of agenda. Well, there is a potential issue there with Thomas Tuchel and the referee for the Croatia game, Clement Turpin. He has history with Tuchel going back to the Bayern Munich days back in 2023. He sent off Tuchel in a tie against Manchester City, and he was pretty damning in his criticism. He called him grade E. He said he'd give him 1 out of 10. He was absolutely terrible. It's unbelievable at this level. Yeah, it was quite stinging criticism. There is a chance, I suppose, that this sort of criticism could be playing on Turpin's mind, isn't there?
Well, Henderson was asked about this in his press conference on Sunday evening, and he gave a very diplomatic answer, basically saying that we can't control the referees, and you've just got to have every faith that the referees at a World Cup will be really good. So I think on that basis, I think you have to hope that Turpin would not be too offended by what Tuchel said. I think referees, if they are elite referees, they should really have pretty thick skins. They should be able to take quite a lot of stick from managers and players and everyone else over the years. So I'd like to think that Turpin will not be particularly vexed by those comments.
Where is he? One last corner, 10 seconds before the whistle, and you think this is a good time to fill it a sea bass?
Yes? No.
Really, Terry? Useless. It's penalties, and you're doing a jambalaya.
How did you get in here?
I crawled.
Just grab me more snacks.
Just get them delivered, you donut. What are you doing? Thank you.
You need to leave, Gordon Ramsay.
Who could cook at a time like this? Uber Eats.
Fingers crossed. Hey, Jack, thank you very much indeed. Just a quick word from you guys in the studio. Obviously, we'll see France play against Senegal later on. England will then play on Wednesday. That'll be the big boys that we've seen. Obviously, it didn't go to plan for Spain. Our simulator model has England with an 11% chance of winning the World Cup. They've gone very, very close in the last 2 tournaments. How excited, how expectant are you both?
How excited? Reasonably.
Okay, cool.
Can you be reasonably excited?
No.
Feels like a yes or no, either or.
Okay, how expectant are you then?
Not very expectant. I think the key difference compared to, as I mentioned before, my generation growing up and sort of seeing England repeatedly get knocked out of the quarterfinal stage by Brazil or Portugal or whoever, is a sense that lots of these players have now been in multiple Euros finals or have got to the semi-final of a World Cup. And I think that's sort of now an experience that you need when you get to the latter stages of a World Cup. We didn't have previously and we have now.
So you should be really optimistic.
But anything can happen at a World Cup. I think every single team at this tournament has very obvious weaknesses. There's no sort of perfect squad.
There's this question of whether England can get over the line. I think to get over the line, you've got to be at the line, and that's actually the hard part. Putting in the processes, putting in the systems, putting in the work. building a culture and a
You're sounding
squad.
like Thomas Tuchel.
Tuchel pill.
Yeah.
I tell you, I'm Tuchel pill.
You were full on. Yeah, go on.
But that's the hard work, and honestly, I think the last decade in my lifetime watching England has been the most successful decade of my lifetime, and since '66. And I think it's just edges. It's just edges now. It's, you know, if Rashford's penalty is a couple of inches to the right in the final against Italy in 2021, then that penalty shootout ends up quite differently. Look, I think look, at 2024, the edges kind of went England's way, and the performances perhaps weren't quite there, and still got to the final. And I don't think they would have deserved to win that tournament. But you can look at the last 3 tournaments. Certainly, they've been at that line, and it's about getting over it. 2018 was a little bit different. I think, you know, none of us expected that. But there's been a trajectory which is upward, but then also steady. I think the big question is now you've got a transition from Southgate to Tuchel. You're seeing, you know, a lot of different players in the squad now than there would have been previously. But I see a consistency in wanting there to be a culture, wanting to be a harmony within the group, wanting people like Jordan Henderson or Dan Burn or whoever, players some people wouldn't pick, but are important for that culture. So I am hopeful-ish. I said England-Spain final last week, and I'm just going to have to put that Spain prediction down to a clerical error. So I'm going to say England win it. Yeah.
Okay. It is now time for our Do You Know Daily Trivia, Day 6. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
So say your name if you know the answer. Those are your buzzers. Your voice is your buzzer. Okay, here we go. Do you know who won the World Cup Golden Boot in 2014, scoring 6 times?
Jay. Thomas Muller.
It's good, but it's not right.
How's it good, Dan?
Because it was amongst my multiple choice options.
Oh, I didn't know we were getting multiple choice options.
No, I was going to give you them if you were struggling.
Oh, okay.
But old fingers first over there buzzed in. So, you know, that's the situation we're in. So let me repeat the question.
I'll go. I'll just go.
Okay, go on, go.
Higuain.
Incorrect.
Messi.
Incorrect.
Close up.
No. I thought you were asking me whether you were getting closer.
No. Miroslav, closer.
No. Where's I'll give you a clue.
Golden Boot 2014.
Similar colour jersey that you're wearing, not a Brazil jersey.
Wasn't like Spain in an away kit.
Oh, James Rodriguez.
Correct. Well done. Well done. Do you want to know what the pecking order in the Golden Boot that was that year?
Mm-hmm.
Not particularly.
James, I'll tell you anyway. James Rodriguez with 6, Thomas Muller with 5, Lionel Messi with 4. And that was the year that Rodriguez, of course, scored his famous goal against Uruguay. So it was James Rodriguez in 2014. So well done to Critch. Well, look, we can't talk about the World Cup without speaking about the GOATs. Cristiano Ronaldo, 41 years young. Lionel Messi, 38, still going strong. This year is going to be their 6th World Cup, more than any other players in history. The reigning champions Argentina, they kick off their campaign against Algeria in the early hours of Wednesday morning. That's here in the UK. Portugal in action later on Wednesday against DR Congo. Now, ahead of the tournament, James Horncastle caught up with the Portugal manager Roberto Martinez on the topic of Cristiano.
This is a great gift idea for dads. That's good coffee, like only an espresso can make. Served in a tiny little cup. Gammon emails, feral kids, a barbaric ingrown toenail. It's all just a walk in the park if you've had a good strong coffee. Merci, bon. Jean-Louis. Obviously that's French. What's thank you in Italian?
Check. Is this thing on? I need to talk about something. About what started in 1985 with a skinny kid from North Carolina, MJ. His earnest, Mr. Michael Jordan. Backyard battles with his brother Larry, the meanest games he ever played. Nowhere to hide, just one-on-one. One on anyone.
This is Cristiano Ronaldo.
Grade. in Serbia, Crvena Zvezda. And he's playing there because it was a promise to his old, now late coach, Sinisa Mihailovic. He's Austria's most capped player and their all-time goal scorer. Talking of goal scorers, the swept-back brown hair pushed further behind his ears by Romano Schmidt, the man whose goal separates the two sides. Arnautovic still milling around on the touchline, waiting for the fourth official's ball to come up. Sasha Kalajdzic is the man who departs, so like for like in terms of position, Sue, at half-time in this Austria change, as Marko Arnautovic just slowly dances his way almost onto the pitch.
He's dancing to the tunes coming out, isn't he? But he's maybe 37 years old, but he certainly knows how to score. And yeah, slightly different player, of course. He can be that focal point and they can play the ball into him and he can link play, but he'll also make those runs in behind, look for the spaces where he can cause problems. But yeah, he's a top quality player, we all know that.
That was Take On Me by Ahar in the background as Arnautovic danced on. The Norwegian band, who themselves will be very happy with Norway's performance earlier today, beating Iraq by 4-1. France, Sue's sweepstake team, got off to a good start. They beat Senegal 3-1 as Kylian Mbappe became France's all-time leading goal scorer. We get underway for the second half here. Also earlier, Argentina 3, Algeria 0, a Messi hat-trick. If you're just waking up on what is now Wednesday morning in the UK, now 8 hours behind in San Francisco, where this game is